In 1969, a group of astronauts changed the world. They walked on the moon.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
In 1972, our journey ended. We've never been back. 2010 begins a year of change. Private companies are working on next-generation spaceships. Governments are looking to go back to the moon and on to Mars. It's time to look up and dream again. It's time to push humans into the cosmos. It's time to educate and engage the planet. It's time for Spacevidcast.
Welcome to Spacevidcast 304 for Friday, January 29th, one day prior to my birthday, 2010.
Nobody cares.
Everyone cares.
No,
lots of presents like little moon globes and things like that. We are your Spacevidcasters, Benjamin and Carrie Ann Higginbotham, and I'm going to have to change that open soon, it sounds like.
Why?
Well, there are a couple different things in there. One, governments are looking to go back to the moon and onto Mars. That's in question. I'm seeing.
Well, governments. We didn't have to say U.S. governments.
That's true.
There's somebody's government is deciding to do such a thing, just not ours.
There was another one. There was another thing in there that I was like, that one doesn't. I mean, the stunning picture of me can stay. That's just a great picture of me, but we'll leave it there. Speaking of, we're not actually going to really have space news tonight. More along the lines of
Soapbox.
space. I'm not going to say soapbox, but more space rumors.
Right,
than anything
right.
else, because we really don't know what's going on, but the future of NASA is kind of up in the air right now, and we've been talking about this a little bit in our daily episodes throughout the past week. There's also a great article on Spaceflight Now on the latest This Week in Space with Miles O'Brien that actually kind of has a counter view of everything, but basically what's going on is the rumor mill is saying NASA's Constellation program may be canceled in favor of using, and this is all rumor by the way, this is not official, in favor of using privatized space vehicles such as SpaceX with their Dragon capsule to go back to the International Space Station, extend the ISS to 2020, and get rid of our lunar program and our Martian program, possibly leave a near-Earth object program, which means
Near-Earth
objects. Oh. There's, for Epic subscribers, and I'll talk about Epic a little bit later on, there is going to be a fantastic outtake video from where basically I think it was 5 minutes of laughing straight.
We were crying. It was really bad. I'm sorry.
But the point is NASA's possibly going through some huge changes, and we should know this coming Monday, I think it is, when President Obama starts giving out his fiscal updates.
Right. Well, the way that the U.S. government works, and thankfully, is there's a bunch of checks and balances. So Obama can't just single-handedly say, off with your head. You know, it has to go through Congress. But at the same time, Congress doesn't necessarily always have a real good finger on the pulse of what's going on and what needs to happen. So there could be something along the lines of Congress saying, no, Constellation, we liked it then, we like it now, you're going to make it go. And Obama going, great, well, they can make it go without the money. And so we could be in a really big pickle, and it could be very scary, I think, in general.
Well, I'm not sure. See, a lot of people are up in arms about this whole thing.
Right.
Like, what are we doing? This is a bad thing. We need to give NASA more money. I guess I look at this as an opportunity for change. You look at the International Space Station. It cost a lot more money than they thought it was going to cost. You look at a lot of the things that NASA, and this isn't to say that NASA is a bad organization. There are any bad people inside of NASA, but certainly going through and cleaning house and actually really getting a good vision and a unified focus for the organization, not necessarily a bad thing.
Mealing points out that NASA's getting more money. They are getting some more money, but they're getting millions of dollars as opposed to billions of dollars, and that's a huge discrepancy. And it's in the low millions. I heard it $200 to $300 million, as opposed to like 5 billion.
All speculation still until it's made
of course,
official.
right,
We
right.
should throw that out
yeah,
there.
again, sorry, but those are the numbers that are being thrown out there, and there's a huge discrepancy there.
But when you look at NASA, you look at our transportation industry throughout the U.S. The government doesn't make cars. They regulate cars to make sure they're safe.
Right.
But they themselves don't make cars. NASA is one of the few organizations within the government that actually makes big vehicles rather than having someone else design and build them.
Right.
So I kind of look at NASA and go, all right, well, maybe we should turn this over to the private sector. Maybe we should let the SpaceX's of the world. Maybe we should let the orbitals, there you go, of the world have a shot at this stuff. And NASA can help pay for that and get that industry going. But I do believe there's money to be made here in space, and I do believe it can become a privatized industry. So I'm not sure that this is a bad thing. It may not be a good thing either. I mean, it could be.
There's a lot of different, we're definitely at a crossroads, and there's a lot of different paths that could be taken. And so hopefully a good one is taken.
Well, Burns mentioned in the chat room, he said that's because NASA's supposed to build things that private industry can't, like heavy lifters, which is a good point.
Right.
However, why can't the private industry build a heavy lifter? I mean, we've been doing this for 50 plus years. This is not bleeding edge technology that only governments have access to. At least it shouldn't be. I don't under.
Well, and the Milling points out, why do we even need heavy lifters per se?
Well, this is where I'm not sure. So I think the good side of this is potentially moving to a privatized industry for building the rockets and the capsules. And
it's funny because even the chat room is like suddenly going back and forth. Vax Hedrum saying, well, there's lots of reasons to build heavy lifters, and then
yeah, well, see, this is kind of my point though. Everyone's kind of
we're just all scrolling by.
I know it's
hysterical.
unreadable at this point.
It's a good thing it's not at the bottom because you wouldn't be able to see it.
The point is, we don't really know what's going to happen over time, and
Right.
I don't. My personal concerns are we've got an incredible brain trust at NASA. We don't want to have another brain drain, at least in my opinion. We want to keep those brains, those minds here in the U.S. workforce.
Yeah.
Now, whether that paycheck comes from NASA or that paycheck comes from SpaceX, I would argue that. Well, no, I would argue that should not come out of the taxpayers' money. Maybe that should go to SpaceX, although that's probably going to end up coming out of our pocket anyhow. But I'm an advocate for private space, so I think this is not necessarily. I don't think this is necessarily a bad thing. I think there's fantastic opportunity here. Having said that, we cannot lose our vision and our focus of going back to the moon, onto Mars. Even if we skip the moon and we go straight to Mars, I'm okay with that. Near-Earth objects, putting humans on near-Earth objects, I'm okay with that too, but we need to keep humans in space, not just robots. We need robots in space too, but I really do think that we should be more of a spacefaring civilization, and 50 years of low Earth orbit is just too long. It's time for us to move out and start expanding in such a way that's sustainable, and I think that's the key. Apollo wasn't sustainable.
Right.
It was just too expensive. We needed to be. We had money. We had talent. The only thing we didn't really have was time. So once we were able to do it, then everything else dried up. So point is, I don't think. I'm reading like the space.com boards and things like that, and everyone's just up in arms. I think it's too early to get that worked up about
Somebody
it.
says go back to the NACA model, which is what NASA was before it was NASA.
Define that, though. I mean, what do you want them to do? Just become the FAA of space, essentially? Is that because we've mentioned that on the show prior?
We've talked about that for sure.
I mean, that's not. I'm not sure what the right answer here is.
Right.
But yeah. I mean, I think we can do a better job of leveraging the private tools. I don't think that the private industry is anything. I just don't see anything happening there that. Like these heavy lift vehicles and being able to go to low Earth orbit, I just don't understand why private industry would not be able to do that. We've done it before. Just because the government did it doesn't mean that private industry can't do it.
Right.
So, anyhow, that's a little bit of the rumor that's going on. We're going to be following this. Well, everyone in the space community is following this pretty closely because it directly impacts how human space exploration is going to be moving forward. Because when you take the military portion out of space exploration out, and you just look at the NASAs, the ESAs, the JAXAs of the world. NASA has over 50% of all funding for space goes just to NASA. And then if you combine all the other space agencies of the world, you still don't reach the budget of NASA. So they are not to be trifled with. What they do can seriously change the world and change humanity for better or worse, I suppose. So anyhow, point is, we're going to follow this. We're going to see what happens here. And I wouldn't say that everything that's being proposed is necessarily a bad idea. And frankly, a lot of this is kind of what they said in the Augustine Commission in the final report. We just could not afford Constellation. That's the cold, harsh reality of it. Is if they were given the rockets today, we just could not afford to fly them. So you can't, a product, if you can't afford the product, what good does it do you, right? I mean, you can want to go to the moon all day long. If you can't afford to actually make it work, it's no good. It's like buying $1 million home when you can only afford a townhome down the street. You can live in it for maybe a week, and then you got to give it back to the bank.
I was going to say, buy of course now I can't think of the name of the car, but we'll say a Lexus to a 13-year-old. You can't work, so there's no money coming in. Can't drive it, can't do anything with it.
So that's just a quick take on all of that. When we come back, we're going to be speaking with Brad Cheetham of WeWantOurFuture.org. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Once upon a time, a special few dinosaurs were given a gift. Something that set them apart from everyone else. Flying. If dinosaurs could speak, the orthodox among them would have dismissed the entire notion. Big deal, they would have told themselves. There's nothing up there but empty space. Every good thing in your life is here on the Earth. Food, shelter, company, not to mention greenery. Up there is absolutely nothing. But a strange thing happened. The dinosaurs on the ground died out 65 million years ago. And the ones with the gift of flight, the ones who pioneered the empty space above their heads, well, they're called birds. What's more, there are twice as many species of birds as ground-walking mammals, meaning the flyers have found twice as many ways of making a living in the sky. And flyers, be they birds or flying mammals, live longer than groundlings. Is nature trying to tell us something? Is there another empty space waiting for the flyers among us? Come to the National Space Society's International Space Development Conference in Chicago, May 2010, and wave the other dinosaurs goodbye. Bring space to life by bringing life to space.
And the chat room, the entire break has been going on about what we talked about in the first half of the show with NASA's budget, and they're bringing up some fantastic points, and I would encourage you guys, if you can, when we post the show on demand, certainly let your comments be known in the comment section, either on YouTube or right here on Spacevidcast.com. And let's get some good, interesting debate going about this, because I really do believe that if we educate people and inform them and have good, civilized debate on these topics, that we can get a lot more people interested in this, and re-spark that passion that they had as a kid, maybe, and whether they agree or disagree with the path that's we may be taking, at least they'll be interested in it again, and might start fighting for it, or at least learning about it, or trying to show that there really is interest and there really is a reason to do all of this. You saw the Epic commercial I was going to debut today. That you guys were asking about that, but just a couple more days. So now I'm planning on debuting it on my birthday, January 30th. So it should debut then. All the merchant information is working. Pretty much everything's working. The last thing we want to do is have the ads removed for most of the videos. So if you go in there right now, if you're an Epic beta tester and you watch one of our videos for the last few weeks, there are no ads in those videos. No pre-roll, no Google overlay, no post-roll. We want to do the same thing with the live video as well. So if you're an Epic subscriber, there will be no Google there's no pre-roll, no Google ad on top, no post-roll, and that's not quite done, and I really want to launch with everything kind of, working as it should. So there's that. Why don't you go ahead and introduce our guest?
Well, it was interesting that you were talking about getting kids interested, and actually even
that would have been a great segue.
Right, more than just kids interested in space. Well, I thought that's where you're going. I was like, all right, he got it. Because our guest is Brad Cheetham from WeWantOurFuture.org, and my understanding is that the entire organization is based around getting kids interested in space. Is that correct, Brad?
That's spot on, yeah. Basically, our goal is to use space exploration to inspire the future engineers, the future scientists, and the future managers to study math and science and get involved in their future. I mean, that's the whole point of the project is getting kids excited about their future. And I think all of your viewers, and myself included, don't think there's much of a future without space exploration in it.
Totally. And I think I love the idea that you're focusing on kids specifically, as Ben was saying, that, trying to get the conversation started with people, our contemporaries right now, and get them re-interested in space, that there's an entire generation of kids that really don't have a lot of space necessarily to look forward to. Does that make sense? I think we grew up wanting to be astronauts. Well, I didn't, but he did. But there's kids today who don't even think of that as an option. It's not something that they even care about or are even familiar enough about to want to do, as opposed to a fireman or whatever kind of thing.
That's my astronaut.
Well, and that's right on. I mean, the future of space exploration doesn't just depend on the actions and decisions that we make today. It really depends on the education of the next generation. No matter how much money we throw at NASA in 20 years, if no one can work the rocket equation, we're not going to go anywhere. So it really is a two-pronged problem, and that's why we're approaching it from both sides. We want to inspire the future generations with space, and then give them a voice to show current leaders that they think it's important and that we need to fund space exploration. It's vital to our national security and national future, to be honest.
I'm going to interject really quick. The chat room brought up a really good point. We need space geeks in Congress and in the Senate. And what better way to get space geeks in there than to get tomorrow's congressmen and senators to become space geeks today?
Yeah, no, yes, absolutely. Hear. So what's your plan here? I mean, I'm assuming you're not handing out slide rules to third graders.
No, I don't know how to use a slide rule, so I wouldn't expect them to. But our plan is to create a video, which has actually been in the process for the past couple of months. It's now in production. So we're going to take that storyboard that the video is going to be based off of and create that into a PowerPoint presentation, which we're actually going to release early this next coming week. And then volunteers who have already signed up are going to take this out to scout groups, to schools, and present it to the kids. The idea really is that humans have been exploring since the beginning of time, through Columbus to Lewis and Clark to Apollo to Shuttle and Station, and there's no reason for us to stop exploring now. And so the idea is to show them that science, technology, engineering, and math, STEM, which is the current buzzword, is vital to their future. Really inspire them to participate, and then after we inspire them to get excited, we want them to give us their vision and their feedback, which is going to be in the form of a postcard, which will be half of a page, where we ask them to close their eyes and think about the future and draw that future for us. We're going to collect 100,000 plus of these postcards from kids all across the country, all 50 states. And then the idea is to deliver these to Washington, D.C. to really make sure that when the discussion is had about funding space exploration, that the voice of the younger generations are heard, because ultimately the decisions that are made today affect the students that are in elementary school, right now. So that's really the idea, is to inspire them, get their feedback, and then make sure that their voice is heard in DC and across the country, that kids think it's important that we explore space.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, what about the rest of the world? Because this helps, obviously, the U.S., but the rest of the world, I mean, who I guess in my seat, I don't really care if it's the U.S. that goes back to the moon or on the Mars. I just want someone to do it so all of humanity benefits from it.
Right.
Do you have any plans in the future to move overseas?
Definitely. Logistically, right now, as our first iteration of this project, our major focus is on the U.S., but all of our materials that we're using in this project will be posted online. And you still hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, sorry, I just broke up. And so all the materials that will be online, we are welcoming anyone in the world to participate, to download the template, to download the PowerPoint or video, do the postcards and email them to us online. We are 100% open to that, and they will be included in the project for sure.
That's very cool. Now, are you going to pull a little bit of a post-secret kind of thing and then maybe post some of these on the website itself?
Yeah, ideally we'll post some of the good ones. We're going to ask on the reverse side of the postcard, because any good postcard has words on the back.
Yep.
We're going to ask them to tell us why or why not they think it's important to go to space, and we want to share those things, those comments and that feedback with Congress, but also the public as a whole. So a lot of it will be putting good feedback and good pictures on our website, sending out notice to the country and to Congress that kids care about space. And so we'll use their feedback all the way as the project's rolling out, and then we'll have a big event at the end to deliver them all, probably sometime this summer.
Awesome. I love that idea. I'm a big post-secret fan. But anyway, so we keep talking about kids. What age groups are we talking here?
So we're talking mostly targeted at K through 12. The pictures, of course, can vary in technicality, and I mean, I know I was never a good artist, so no age would have helped me, maybe finger painting. But, but the feedback on the back will be age appropriate. So we've talked with some middle school and high school teachers who their state requirements say students have to write a persuasive essay. So one of the things we're working on is, can we make this fulfill their persuasive essay requirement and have the students write an essay about why space exploration is important? Or on the contrary side, if they don't think it's important, we'd like to hear that from them as well.
That's very cool.
So how does someone who's already grown up, like ourselves, help out with your organization?
Well, you go back to school. Oh.
You become a student.
You start a big space show and you get lots of people to watch it.
Yes, okay.
So you guys
Check.
have already nailed it. But there are three major things that we can get from people who are grown-ups, quote unquote. First of all, contribute financially. Every dollar that we raise helps us inspire one child. That's about the breakdown for our project. So, $1 or $2, it does make a difference. It does help us reach out to children. Contribute socially. Tell your friends, tell your relatives, tell anyone who might be a teacher to go to our website. Tweet about it, put it on Facebook. We are on both of those. Twitter is We Want Our Future, and we're on Facebook fan page if you search for us. Mm-hmm. And finally, contribute time. If you go to our website at wewantourfuture.org, you can sign up to be a volunteer. And early on, the volunteers will be the ones, if they so choose, to deliver the PowerPoint presentation to start to get kids excited about this. As we roll it out further and we get more and more people involved, we'll need volunteers to help coordinate the postcards coming in. I know I don't have enough time to read through 100,000 postcards, so we're going to need help from people the whole length of the way. And the biggest thing you can do is go to our website, sign up to volunteer, sign up to participate if you're a teacher or a scout leader, or participate in 4-H or whatever it is. Those are the best ways to help us right now.
Now, just out of curiosity, because it just sort of struck me, because you said scout leader, I think is what it hit me as. Are there different, kind of like SEDS has the University of Minnesota SEDS or the University of Florida SEDS, that kind of thing. Do you think there will be, because I'm thinking we should have our own SVC, We Want Our Future group. Do you foresee anything along those lines where you kind of have troops in different areas?
Definitely. The way we've broken it down is at a first cut, which is nothing final, of course, mm-hmm. is to have 5 different regions, where each region would have a coordinating person who works with all the other groups within it. So we want to really leverage groups like SEDS and groups like the Challenger Centers, which are affiliates of ours, mm-hmm. to really get out to as many kids, and more importantly, the diversity of location and of background and age is really important. So we need help of all these other groups. Right now, we're not specifically trying to set up chapters of We Want Our Future. We're trying to get this project rolling so that kids will join groups like SEDS and National Space Society and watch your show and all those other important things.
You know, and you kind of touched on this for a moment, but you're not a fly-by-night organization. You do have some pretty big people kind of trying to back you up, such as the Challenger Center and SEDS. Can you name a few of them?
Yeah, we have been really fortunate so far to have a great group of affiliates on board. Our big one is the CU Foundation, who's helping us to manage our nonprofit status. We have the NASA Office of Education has been really supportive of giving us feedback and kind of helping us along as we develop this. The Challenger Centers, like you mentioned, are partners that we really look forward to working with. They have a huge impact on kids with respect to space, and I think working with them will be a great opportunity. We have the Coalition for Space Exploration, which is a group of space companies that is really concerned with promoting space exploration. That's their title, so they follow through with that. Like I said, we have SEDS on board, the Commercial Spaceflight Federation. All these guys are listed on our website, and we're working every day to sign up new partners. I'm getting lots of emails, and we're setting up some really cool partnerships. But to move on from organizations, I want to make sure we identify our team, the people that are working with us. The project itself is a student-run initiative, so all the people that are coordinating it are students. We are in college trying to balance changing the world with studying and doing homework. So that's one of the reasons why we need volunteers. We also have some really great consultants who are kind of helping us with very technically specific things like PR and marketing and stuff like that. And we have some great strategic advisors. And one thing to plug really quick is anyone interested in space outreach beyond just one event, and here's the cheesy plug, is the Kids to Space, which is a project done by one of our strategic advisors, Lonnie Shore. She worked with Buzz Aldrin to put this book together, and what they did was they got feedback from kids all across the country on what 3 questions they had before going to space. And so this book is great. It's got hundreds of activities for people to do. So we want to kind of initiate the idea of thinking about space with We Want Our Future, and then we highly recommend getting the Kids to Space book to continue that discussion with children, because one event is not going to resonate too long. Of course, we hope that it will spark it, but something needs to feed that fire. And that book is sold by Apogee Books, so you can pick it up on their website.
I was just going to ask. I was doing a Google search on that, and I'm like, I'm not sure. You hit Kids to Space in Google, and you get like 9 million results. So it's like, uh-oh.
So ApogeeBooks.com.
There you go.
And that'll be up on our website soon as well.
Good.
And mention your website one more time.
So the website is wewantourfuture.org, and it should be right over my head here.
Yeah, it's been floating there the whole time. Just a couple more quick questions. This one's going to be a little bit harder just because I don't know any space geek that really can answer it off the cuff like this. It is a hard question, which is, so there I'm warning you like that. Why should we be in space at all? Why are we educating our kids to go to space? A lot of people think it's a waste of money. Why should we do this?
That is a tough question, and I could probably answer it. And if we ran the show until your birthday, we could keep going. But I think the simplest way to explain why we go to space is the core of our message to the kids. Is that why did we explore the western half of the United States? I've only been to California once, so I don't really care. But I do live in Colorado now, so I'm glad we made it this far. The real reason why we explore is because we want to find new things. We want to discover things. And ultimately, this country was found and settled based on exploration. And a lot of our prosperity stems from exploration that we had, whether it be during Apollo or what have you. And so I think exploration in itself is a fundamental trait of America. And if we don't continue to explore, I don't know that we can guarantee prosperity in the future. I think that's probably the shortest way to explain it, is that humans have been exploring since the beginning of humanity. And if we stop exploring now, what do we have to look forward to?
Good answer.
There you go.
Now
it's almost like someone asked him that before.
Once or twice. No, actually, it is a very difficult
that question before. No.
It's a difficult question for space geeks because we want to make something that's short and right to the point. But there are so many reasons that we are passionate about this stuff,
Right.
that other people may not be. I mean, I know a lot of people who just think this entire program is a waste of money and we should just shut it all down and give the money back to the taxpayers.
I was
And
having a-
obviously, I disagree with that. But,
Right.
you know.
Having a conversation with a more distinguished woman than I at lunch today, and she kind of said, you know, I don't really think about space, and I don't really think kids think about space, and they're just more interested in their iPod. And I said, well, yeah, except that their iPod wouldn't exist if we didn't go into space. And she just kind of stopped for a second. And while it's not, it's not like definitively necessarily, but you know that there have been so many different leaps in technology and thought processes because of space that have filtered down into iPods. No, into regular society.
We can thank NASA for the iPod and soon the iPad. That's what she's saying.
That's not what I'm saying.
So now the hardest question anyone has ever asked you in your entire life. Are you ready for this?
I hope you're sitting.
Are you sitting? You ready for this?
Yeah, I'm ready. I hope so.
Here it goes. What is your favorite space shuttle?
That is a tough question.
Yep.
The other question, he had an answer right
I
there.
know. No, this is the hardest question.
It's like I've been thinking about this for my whole life. I know exactly why we should go
This
to
is a hard
space,
one.
but
This is a hard
my
one.
favorite orbiter.
Yeah, there is a right answer, by the way, just so you know. You can't get this
I'm
wrong.
gonna throw you a curveball. My favorite shuttle to get to space is the VSS Enterprise. We're looking to the future, right?
That's a
So we
cheater
want our
answer. That's a
It's
cheater
just so
answer, but
nice.
I will accept your answer because it was clever. And yep, I mean technically you are correct. I cannot.
You said shuttle. You should have said orbiter.
I should have said orbiter. All right. Part 2. What's your favorite orbiter?
I think I probably like Endeavor because.
I'm sorry, that's the wrong answer. All right, stay around for post show. Stay around for post show. If you want to get more information about We Want Our Future, you can do that at wewantourfuture.org. Help them out any way you can. If you've got a student in school, have them become part of this project. Otherwise, if you can, monetary help, just time, whatever you can give them. I really do think this is a great cause, and getting students excited about space and science and technology again is I think a really
And it's
good
all
thing.
really easy. It's all laid out there's just links at the very top, about our initiative, affiliates, our team, contribute, donate, participate, volunteer, and contact us. It's all right there. Hard to miss, hard to mess up. Do it.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll be right back here, same time. Actually, we'll be at our normal time next week.
Right. Not this time, next time.
That's 2 o'clock a.m. Coordinated Universal Time on Fridays, or if you're in the United States, that's Thursday night, 6 p.m. Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, 9 Eastern. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you next week.